When Russian discoverers came to Kamchatka, indigenous peoples already lived here. But long before the first humans set foot on the land of Kamchatka, in coastal waters dwelt the real aboriginals, the orcas or killer whales. Orcas appeared on the earth several million years ago, and since that time have occupied all oceans. In Kamchatka, one can see them more often than any other whale or dolphin. To study these wonderful creatures, we settled on this island in Avacha Gulf, Kamchatka. The island is small and inhabited mainly by birds. Here, kittiwakes and gulls build their nests. In coastal waters, pigeon guillemots also feed and mate. Fancy tufted puffins raise their nestlings in burrows, which they dig with their strong beak. Ancient murres make nests on the rocks, forming large colonies. All around the island in nearshore waters are larga seals, which observe us with curiosity from a safe distance. We built a small house in the quiet bay to protect ourselves from storms coming from the open sea. During storms, the waves bend around the island on both sides and crash, throwing up towering splashes. Every morning, when the weather is good, we go to sea in a small inflatable boat to meet orcas. There are two known ecotypes or kinds of killer whales in the North Pacific, fish-eating and mammal-eating. The hunting traditions of killer whales pass from generation to generation, as in human tribes. Fish-eating and mammal-eating orcas never communicate with each other. Around our island, we usually see fish-eating killer whales. They mostly feed on Atka mackerel and salmon. They never hunt on the larga seals living around our island. Dall's porpoises also feel safe swimming close to these orcas. Fish-eating killer whales usually travel in large groups because it is easier to herd a school of fish together, and it provides enough food for everyone. Orcas here use different strategies for fishing. Sometimes groups disperse and the whales catch fish one by one. In other cases, they herd fish schools by cooperative carousel fishing. During fishing, orcas emit various sounds. They usually produce echolocation clicks to navigate and find prey. They also emit whistles and calls, probably to coordinate their activity while herding fish. Killer whale pods are comprised of females and several generations of their offspring, which remain in the pod of their mother for their entire lives. The adult males in the pod are typically sons, brothers, and uncles of the other pod members. Orcas search for mates outside of their own pod. Females usually become mature at the age of 11 to 14 years old and live about 50 years. An adult female can bear a calf once every 5 years until about the age of 40. Nursing lasts about a year, but the juvenile remains with its mother to learn hunting skills and social behavior, and to adopt the customs and habits of the group. Females give birth to about 5 calves in their reproductive lifetime, although not all young survive to maturity. After the age of 40, females don't reproduce, but help young mothers to take care of their calves. Old females are very important for group survival because during their long lives they gain knowledge about prey, migration routes, sea currents, and other features of their range. To identify individual orcas, we take a photo of each animal in the group. Differences in the shape of the saddle patch and dorsal fin allow us to distinguish every photographed animal. Photographs are thoroughly analyzed and then included in a catalog, which enables us to recognize the animal when we see it again. Orcas are very social, and bonds between group members are as strong as in human families. At the same time, each animal has its own character and personality. Photo identification allows us to monitor the social bonds between animals. Each orca pod has its own habits, favorite hunting and resting areas, and even a unique vocal dialect. To hear and record their voices, we stop the boat and drop the hydrophone. The ocean comes alive with orca clicks, whistles, and calls. The calls are loud and memorable, clearly discernible by ear. Each pod has its own set of calls, the vocal dialect. Dialects of related pods are similar, but those less related differ to a corresponding degree in their dialects. Using a single hydrophone, we cannot determine which whale is calling. To locate the direction of underwater sounds, we use 2 hydrophones divided by a soundproof disc. Each hydrophone receives sound only from one side, so we can determine if the sound comes from the left or right. Calls come to both hydrophones only if the edge of the disc is directed to the whale. To study the population structure and relationships between killer whales, we carefully take a genetic sample, a small piece of skin. Each killer whale gets a number, and to some of them we give names. This juvenile with a black band on the saddle patch was named Nemo. He's very playful and often comes close to the boat. This adult male with a hooked dorsal fin and open saddle patch is named Hooky. Here he is traveling with his group in front of Velichinsky volcano.